think the best thing about having a hobby is that it gives us permission to get a little weird, to be quirky. You might even say idiosyncratic. We all have our own ways of doing things, ways that when we're at our best as hobbyists are as unique as we are. I do believe hobbies are like fingerprints. You shouldn't want to be like me. For sure, you shouldn't want to be like me because I don't want to be like you. Hobbyists, we can get weird with it and have such a good time. Got a dual autographed ticket back in the mail last week. You know, PSA. What's a 5-month wait? 2010 Hall of Fame induction ceremony. Could possibly be the greatest Hall of Fame class of all time. Who is in that class, you ask? Well, 2010 Hall of Fame class linebacker Ricky Jackson, defensive tackle John Randall, defensive back longtime coach Dick LeBeau, running back Floyd Little. Ricky Jackson, John Randall, Dick LeBeau, Floyd Little. And the all-time leading NFL rusher Emmitt Smith, and the all-time leading NFL receiver Jerry Rice. Everybody else just a little appetizer, the main course, Jerry and Emmitt, which is so great. Those Cowboys and Niners teams back in the 90s going head-to-head, and they were the stars of the stars. And I was there. Canton. August 7th, 2010, with the Shark. Was living in Cincinnati at the time. We made the drive to Canton. 2010 Hall of Fame induction ceremony. Of course, I was not collecting cards back then, and I'd been so itinerant, so transient in my life. I actually didn't have a lot of stuff, but I had that program, and I saved that ticket stub. And when I got back in to collecting 3 years ago this month, I looked to see what I had that might be of interest. And last year I said, you know what I want to do? I want to submit that ticket to PSA as a way of remembering the moment. But I don't just want to submit it. I want to get it signed. I want it signed by Emmitt Smith. I want it signed by Jerry Rice. And I did just that. Last spring, the Chantilly show. It's so nice having a good regional show less than an hour away. I got Emmitt Smith to sign it. Beautiful golden signature on the left-hand side of the ticket. Oh, don't worry. I'm going to show it to you in just a few minutes. Then at the National this last summer, I'm so not an auto guy. I'm really not. And I really don't care that much about meeting celebrities, but I was fired up. I don't know what I spent. I spent a lot. It was worth every penny I got. Like the first day they went on sale, I got Jerry Rice's autograph on the top right hand. Beautiful. Both of them in a gold Sharpie. Top left, Emmitt Smith. Top right hand, Jerry Rice. I'm going to show you in just a minute. Hang on, friends. Such a great day. Such a great memory. Me and the Shark reliving our youth. Signed. Both of them signed. Such a great collectible. I had a vision. It wasn't just going to be a ticket, friends. It was going to be a display down here in Dave's Cave. I wanted not only the PSA graded ticket with Emmitt and Jerry, I wanted these side by side for you listening on the podcast. I'm going to describe it. What I'm showing to our friends is 2021 or 2020? 2021 Mosaic. They're called Busted silver refractors. I've got Emmitt Smith and Jerry Rice. They are die cuts. They're die cuts of their Hall of Fame busts. And my vision, it's come to pass. My vision was to have that ticket stub dual signed, graded, encased side by side with these Canton, Ohio Hall of Fame Enshrinement busts. And it came to pass. Can you hear the joy in my voice? Can you hear how happy I am to have it? Boy, it's good. I got to tell you right now, this was a little therapy for me because I was a little hurting inside when I got the grade. I know. Don't you hate that? You have all that goodness, all that joy, all that excitement, all that appreciation, and some dude at PSA, some guy who spends less than a minute decides the grade. 1 second. Now, I did not have to get it graded. I could have just got it authenticated, would have been enough, but I said, I want to get the grade. The autos were gorgeous, beautiful, smooth, and bold. They came back a 9. Why do we give over our joy to numbers on labels? It is asinine. I didn't buy this to sell it. I bought this to remember the moment. 2010 Hall of Fame induction ceremony. I'll tell you what, PSA, I'm taking back that little piece that's been hurting me just a little bit. It's my joy. This is my memory. It's my collectible going on my display in my man cave. Thank you very much. Dual autograph, Jerry Rice, Emmitt Smith. Let me show it to you at home. Take a look at this. Gorgeous. It's got all the Hall of Famers on there. Emmitt Smith, Jerry Rice, John Randall, Floyd Little, Dick LeBeau. There's one more. I haven't told you about quite yet. I wonder why I haven't told you about this last one. Told you about Ricky Jackson, John Randall, Dick LeBeau, Floyd Little, Jerry Rice, and Emmitt Smith. But there's one more hidden down under Emmitt Smith's autograph. Isn't that gorgeous? 2010 Enshrinement ticket autographed by the greatest receiver and the greatest rusher. You know what? Walter Payton was better, but I did love Emmitt Smith. I'm going to tell you who that 7th enshrinee was a little bit later in the show. Welcome to the Rated Rabbi Sports Card Podcast, where sports cards and pop culture meet the 1984 All-Star Game. I'm your host, Rabbi David Spinrad. We are on episode 51, and it's called USFL Legend Kelvin Bryant. That's right, we're doing a mini dive into the USFL today, remembering USFL all-timer, USFL all-time team, backfield mate of the all-time other rushing running back, Herschel Walker. We're talking about Kelvin Bryant. How did we get from the 1984 All-Star Game to the USFL? Well, bottom of the 5th, just about to get back to the action. Up comes on the ABC commercial, a commercial for the 1984 USFL Championship game. You hear the announcer say, USFL MVP Kelvin Bryant takes on George Allen's Arizona Wranglers. If you remember the USFL, you know the USFL was legit. Only ran for 3 seasons, 83, 84, 85, but that league had talent. 187 USFL players also played in the NFL. 187. And actually, that USFL also helped to increase salaries across the NFL because all of a sudden there was a competition for players. They had so much NFL talent. Who won the Heisman Trophy 1983? Herschel Walker. Did he go NFL? Nope. Went to the New Jersey Generals. Following year, Doug Flutie, remember that Hail Mary on that Friday after Thanksgiving versus, who was that, University of Miami? He's playing for BC, wins the Heisman. Does he go to the NFL? Nope, not either. He also goes and plays for now Donald Trump and the New Jersey Generals. And finally, 1985 Heisman Trophy winner Mike Rozier, University of Nebraska, becomes a Pittsburgh Mauler. That is right. All 3 years of the USFL, Heisman. Tons of talent in the USFL. How many Hall of Famers? I'll run them down and you count along. First one, Steve Young, LA Express. Second one, Jim Kelly, Houston Gamblers. Third, Reggie White, Memphis Showboats. Then we got fourth, Gary Zimmerman, also played for the LA Express, offensive lineman, Minnesota Vikings. Who else? A little bit later, the great Sam Mills. He was a Saint. He was a Panther linebacker. He was a Philadelphia and then eventually a Baltimore Star. Who else? What do we got? We got 1, 2, 3. We've got 5 players. We've got Coach George Allen. 6. We've got Coach Marv Levy. We've got Coach, he was an exec with the Chicago Blitz, Sid Gilman. And finally, we've got Bill Polian, also an exec with the Chicago Blitz. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players. 1, 2, 3, 4 coaches and managers in the front office. Absolutely. It was good football. Some of those teams got good crowds. I remember watching all of it. We had the Oakland Invaders back in the Bay. Great logo. Oh my God. That good California combo, the blue and the yellow. And it was like a lightning bolt, a fist grabbing a lightning bolt. The Oakland Invaders, 1985, the final season, they made the finals. I think they were helped because the Michigan Panthers merged with the Invaders that year. It's like a little mini super team, but still they fell to the Stars. For sure, the greatest team in the 3-year history of the USFL. Who were they coached by? I'll give you a hint. Playoffs. You're talking about playoffs? Jim Mora, 2-time champion in the USFL. Kelvin Bryant, long since forgotten, unfortunately. Great running back, University of North Carolina. I want to show you a little graphic I grabbed before we get too into Kelvin. There it is. The ABC screen grab, USFL Championship, ABC Sunday Night Live, 8 p.m. Eastern. It was played at the Sombrero Tampa Stadium. 84 championship game, got a heck of a crowd. You remember this? 52,662 fans went to a rival league to the NFL. Absolutely the most successful, other than the AFL that, of course, forced the merger. Who knew I could be so psyched on the USFL? I felt like this is a book. If I ever do a season 2 of the Rated Rabbi podcast, I might do a USFL season. I don't know. Kelvin Bryant, University of North Carolina, 3-year starter, 1980 through 1982. Overlapped with, was a teammate with who? The greatest defensive player of all time, not named Ronnie Lott, number 56. Although at the University of North Carolina, he wore, I believe, number 97 or 98. I'm talking about LT, Lawrence Taylor, the best there ever was, other than my main man, Ronnie Lott. So Kelvin Bryant plays a season with LT before LT goes to the Giants. Anyone wants to call me out on it, put a note in the comic. Put a note in the comments. Tell me LT was better than Ronnie Lott. Come on, man. I know. I'm biased. Kelvin Bryant plays with Lawrence Taylor. He's also on campus the same time as Michael Jordan, as MJ. I don't know. That's kind of cool. What else can I tell you about Kelvin Bryant at the University of North Carolina? Well, he was a baller. Named one of the ACC's Atlantic Coast Conference top 50 all-time athletes. 1981 against Eastern Carolina University. ECU scores 6 touchdowns in NCAA, a rushing record. Has the record for 2 games, has 11 touchdowns in 2 games, and has 15 touchdowns in 3 games. Records, both of them. He is terrific. Drafted in the first round by the Philadelphia Stars, 1983, and he is a star. As I said, in his rookie season, he wins the MVP. He's a starting all-star. They weren't called all-pros in the USFL. They were all-stars. 1,440 yards in his rookie season, 16 touchdowns. They come up 2 points short to the Michigan Panthers. 1983 championship game, but they come back hungry the next year. 1984, Bryant back again rushes for over 1,400 yards, this time 13 touchdowns. And like I said, they curb stomped the Arizona Wranglers in the championship 20 2-3. 1985, again, rushes this time 1,200 plus yards, another dozen touchdowns. Stars move from Philly to Baltimore for their final season. The game itself, not much of one. Philly has a number one run defense, even though Arizona has a number one defense overall. They're no match. PSU, Penn State University's Chuck Fusina, a pretty good quarterback in the USFL. Couldn't even sniff the field in the NFL. I think he played for Tampa Bay, maybe somebody else. 22-3. Who's a quarterback that day for Arizona, you ask? Well, remember Greg Landry, longtime Detroit Lion? Also played for Baltimore Colts and maybe a season at the end with the Chicago Bears. 22-3. Is this enough USFL information for you? All right. I was just taken away when I saw the commercial for the USFL. It took me away. In fact, I just ordered the one of the books about the USFL. I hope to learn a little bit more. Let's look at a card, shall we? 1984, the premier edition of the USFL football cards. There it is. That's the Kelvin Bryant rookie card. Not cheap, this USFL set. Super cool. I know there's a new USFL league. I don't really follow that, but this was my USFL. Kelvin Bryant, not that attractive of a card, pretty plain. He's just in uniform jersey looking off to the side. Still kind of cool to have that, and super duper fun to show it to you today. USFL makes some mistakes. Donald Trump pushing the USFL to go head-to-head with the NFL, switching from the summer, which was very successful, to try to go head-to-head with the fall. It's an antitrust suit. The league folds, never plays the third season. Famously, the courts award the USFL $1 triple because of antitrust laws, and they make $3 whole on the case. USFL runs 83, 84, 85. Pretty darn successful. 187 players later play in the NFL or had played previously in the league. After 85, the league folds. Bryant ends up in Washington, a member of the Redskins, backs up Heisman winner George Rogers, who'd come over from the Saints. He's the backup, 86, 87. Takes over as a starter in 88, but gets hurt, misses all of 89, comes back briefly 1990, and has to retire. 1987, gotta be the apex, man. Kelvin Bryant wins a Super Bowl against Broncos that year, the shortened strike season. They stomp the Broncos in the Super Bowl. So what does that mean? That means Kelvin Bryant wins both the USFL title twice and a Super Bowl once. In the spirit of Bill Simmons, I did quite a bit of half-assed internet research, and I can't find any other players who won Super Bowls with both the USFL and the NFL, making it very likely, according to my half-assed research, that this guy, Kelvin Bryant, is the only player in football history to win USFL and NFL titles. All right. I said in 2010 at the Hall of Fame Enshrinement ceremony, Canton, Ohio, with the Shark, August 7th, there were 7 Hall of Famers. Of course, Jerry. Of course, Emmett. Who else? Ricky Jackson, John Randall, Dick LeBeau, Floyd Little, and somebody I left off because I want to talk about him now with you. The 7th Hall of Famer in the 2010 class was a Hog. Remember Russ Grimm? You remember Russ Grimm, Grimm, real Western Pennsylvania guy, Pittsburgh guy, through and through. Actually, would later come back and be a coach. Won a Super Bowl ring with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Super Bowl XL over Seattle. Grimm himself, in addition to the ring he wins as a coach, wins 3 Super Bowls with the Redskins, 17, 22, and 26. He's a member of the All-Decade Team in the 1980s. Accolades, nothing new for Russ Grimm. Was a beast at Pitt, played University of Pittsburgh. Check this out. Ricky Jackson, with whom he shared the dais at the induction ceremony. He too was a Pitt Panther with Grimm. Who else? Mark May, teammate in Washington. We'll get back to him in a second. Who else? Remember Hugh Green, that ball-and linebacker from Pitt? Who else? Bill Moss, another All-Pro. Who else? Jimbo Covert. Who else? Dan Marino. Man, Pitt was stacked back in the day. Russ Grimm, 4 Super Bowl rings, 3 as a guard with the Redskins. What's important to remember about Russ Grimm? Well, he was a Hog. Y'all remember the Hogs? Washington Redskins offensive line. Who were those Hogs? It was Jeff Bostic. There was Pitt teammate Mark May. The tackle, George Stark. There was Joe Jacoby. And, of course, Russ Grimm. Bostic, May, Stark, Jacoby, and Grimm. Who was their offensive line coach? The legendary Joe Bugle. Remember that was a good time in the football world, huh? NFL was fun back in the 80s. All right. Remember this? This is a little weird. I was thinking about the Hogs. When you think about the Hogs, you think about their fans. You think about the Redskins. You think about the Hogs. You think about their fans. What do you think about pretty quick? You think about these guys. The Hogettes. If you're listening, I'm showing a Hogettes card from 1989. And I just kind of thought about that. It's a little weird, right? What were the Hogettes? Well, they were kind of like overweight, middle-aged bunch of white guys who would put pig noses, snouts over their noses, right? With a little string around the back. So kind of overweight, middle-aged white guys put a pig nose over their nose, and then they would dress up like women. Did that ever strike you as kind of strange? Not that there's anything wrong with that, but they were cross-dressing, pig snout-wearing football fans, chomping cigars and proud of it. The Hogettes back in the day. Football was a lot of fun back in the 1980s. The Hogettes, man. If you got a Hogette memory, drop a comment. It's kind of struck me. This one's kind of just like a Girl Scout. He's got a sash and buttons. They all kind of Ellie Mae Clampett with the hats. And what the heck was this? Did anyone think it was weird back then? We just kind of like, yeah, the Hogettes. It's kind of strange, man. All right. I got a new feature for you today as we move to wrap it up. Episode 51, USFL legend Kelvin Bryant. A new feature. As I mentioned towards the end of the year, I have a singular hobby goal in 2024. That singular hobby goal, 1933 Gaudy Babe Ruth card 149, the red one. You can actually see it over my shoulder, a little woodcut with the Bambino. That's the card I want. I want one extraordinary card that I'm going to sell things and I'm going to save and I'm going to do everything I can to have one incredible card, because I don't want a huge collection. I want 90% of my cards to be worth 10% of the financial value, and I want 10% or less to hold most of it. I want just a few incredible, amazing cards. Keep it simple. And the rest, just good times. Well, the expensive ones would be good times too, but you know what I'm saying. So for me to achieve this goal, for me to climb the tallest mountain I will have ever have climbed as a collector, for me to get something extraordinary, I got to say no to awesome. I have to refrain from excellent. I have to step back from the merely good, right? Those purchases that sort of chip away at your larger goals. I'm not talking $1, $2, $5. I'm talking like 50 to 100 to 200. They're not massive, but they're significant. $200 here, $100 there. You don't feel the progress, right? So I'm saying no to most everything so I can say a real yes to something special. I'm going to show you a few cards in this new segment. The segment is called Cards I Did Not Buy This Week. If you're going to give a better name, drop a comment. Cards I did not buy. Here we go on the screen. At least 4 from which I refrain. Starting, we'll go clockwise in the top left-hand corner. That is a 1953 Bowman Hollywood Stars. You've got film, radio, and TV stars. It's a set not unlike the beautiful, my favorite, perhaps, favorite set, the photography from the 1953 Bowman color is I have the Stan Musial, and I have to be disciplined not to buy others. That Minnie Minoso, he's got the chin on the bat. Incredible. This set, same size as Bowman color, slightly over large. Really, the key card I'm showing you right here is the Groucho Marx. I'm not a big non-sport card guy at all, but that card just got me. I just think that's such a great card. There's also a Bob Hope, but this is the one, and I watched it. For sure I could have afforded it, but it's exactly the kind of card you don't buy when you want to buy something special, right? Sometimes doing the right thing starts with just don't do the wrong thing. Doesn't take being a genius. Just don't beat yourself at your own game. So thank you very much, Groucho, but I got Babe on my mind. Moving to the right, 1961 Fleer basketball. Such a beautiful set. Right? And I definitely at some point want the Bill Russell. But the card I'm showing here, Syracuse National, Dolph Schayes, outstanding basketball player, member of the Tribe. Gotta love that, right? Before basketball, where you could dunk in basketball, Jews dominated, by the way. You go early basketball, there are so many great Jewish basketball players. Urban sport, Jews were urban, not a lot of space, loved basketball, especially in the Northeast New York area, right? SUNY, that SUNY Manhattan had that great basketball team. Just tons of Jews playing hoops back in the day. 1961 Fleer. I passed on the Dolph Schayes, another card. Could have had it, just saying no. And then, you know me, I do like an occasional ultra-modern 49er card. That's a 2023 Prism just released. Brandon Ayuk Gold Prism out of 10. 2023 Gold Prism Brandon Ayuk out of 10. Awesome card. Exactly the kind of card you just say no to. And finally, a beautiful piece of Americana. 1957 Topps Horizontal Dodgers Slugger. Dodgers Sluggers is such a wonderful card. They're all kneeling on their left knee, elbows on their right knees, bats crossed from left to right in front of them, from us, right to left. From left is Carl Ferriller with that cannon of an arm in the outfield. Hall of Famer Gil Hodges, first baseman. Campy, Roy Campanella next to him, another Hall of Famer, the catcher. And finally, the center fielder, the Duke Snyder, Ferrillo, Hodges, Campanella, and Snyder. Dodgers Slugger, final year in Brooklyn. Exactly the kind of car I want, and exactly the kind of card I have to refrain from buying. All right, we're going to wrap things up here. What did we do? Well, I took back the night, baby. I reclaimed the incredibly beautiful and personally meaningful 2010 Enshrinement ceremony ticket stub signed by the legendary Emmitt Smith and the even more legendary Jerry Rice. I feel better now, right? I've got it on my display behind me. I've got the ticket signed side by side with these cool mosaic busted, Hall of Fame busts of Emmitt and Jerry. I feel better now. Then we did a dive into the USFL, focusing on the legend, Kelvin Bryant. He was an all-star. He was a champion. He was an MVP. Won titles both in the USFL and in the NFL. Remember just a little of the USL. Very talented. Lots of Heisman Trophy winners coming out of there. Lots of guys who also helped make salaries increase, which they pass on to us, the fans. What else? We did a little reminiscing about Hall of Fame enshrinee Russ Grimm, the Hogs, and had a weird kind of flashback on the Hogettes, those middle-aged fat white guys who cross-dressed with pig noses. And we wrapped it up with a new segment still showing you here on the screen. Cards that I did not buy this week so I can get my 1933 Gaudi Babe Ruth card 149. The red one. Didn't buy the Groucho. Did not buy Dolph Shays. No, Ayuk. And said, not right now, Dodgers sluggers, for Rillo, Hodges, Campy, and the Duke. All right, that was fun. Time just kind of flew by. I hope to see you again next week. Leave me a note in the comments. It's always fun to go back and forth to chop it up with you out there. Until we meet again, may you enjoy and be blessed with health and long life. So long for now.